Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for joining in for another episode of Business Talks. As you could see, we're going to talk about the Texas gunman and the narrative that they're trying to push with the American people. They want you to believe that everything has a foundation or is stemmed from white supremacy. Anything that goes on with the mass shooting, some type of killing, any harm towards people, any looting, any type of illegal activities, what the liberal media is trying to push, this agenda, this propaganda, they want you to believe it has all to do with the white man and it's nothing um, to do with that individual that's committing that actual crime or the actual crime. So we're gonna get into it. I found a couple of stuff on things on Twitter. We're gonna look at some videos, really outlandish talk videos. So you guys bear with me. I couldn't barely watch it because it's a bunch of nonsense. And then we're gonna look at we're gonna tune into some of the actual news articles, like the headlines. We're gonna just check those out and see what they're saying. Because it's kind of disgusting that the media actually thinks that you are stupid and you don't have enough common sense to say, oh, hold on, wait a minute, just a second here. You want me to believe that this man, his I can't even pronounce his first name. His last name is Garcia. And what I've learned over the internet, that his parents didn't even speak English. I think he was discharged from the National Guard or the military or the army. They want us to believe that he is a white supremacist, and he has ties to or idealize neo-Nazism. Yeah, that's a whole bunch that I just said, but they want you to believe that this Mexican man, I don't know if he was born here, but his parents doesn't even speak English. They want you to believe that. And they don't want you to put the two and two together. Okay? So we're going to get into it. I'm showing you my Twitter account right now. We're on my Twitter account. Let me just change the view a minute. Let me enlarge it. Enlarging it. I find it really crazy because not only it was not like one person is pushing this narrative or one news media account, or media channel. It's multiple media channels. And it's like really insane. I don't know if we're living in like La La Land or Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but to me, it's just really insane how they're trying to push this narrative that this guy went off his rockers and they're tying it to white supremacy. But some of his victims were white. I really can't. Maybe they don't want, maybe that's why they probably haven't revealed everyone that was incidentally killed in this tragic event, but they want you to believe this. So, first of all, I want to send my condolences out to all the families that experienced this, even the people that was actually there. It has to be a traumatizing event. And I can't explain how I will feel if I went through that type of event. It's really tragic because babies were killed, and all the way up to a 65-year-old man were killed in this tragic thing. So first of all, I want to send my condolences out to that, to these families. And I'm not trying to make light or fun of the situation because it's really not funny. And it's actually disgusting that the media is trying to make it something that it's not. And this is all, I think this is all to push the narrative that, oh, we don't need guns. We don't need guns. But people don't realize guns don't kill people. People kill people. It's not the gun. It's the people kills people. So if I believe that they need to do a better job in making sure that a person that is sane and in their right mind has a possession of a gun. And if they're not and not in their right mind, they should get doxxed and put on this list saying, oh, they didn't pass their physical fit test. Or they have some psychiatric problems because this, like they said, this individual, this guy, he was discharged from the military because of his mental stability. So, if I could find my bookmarks, I don't know where am I going. So we're going to look at some of this Twitter stuff. Why can't I find my bookmarks? I must be tired. Notification. Okay. Let me just pull it up like this. Now, this is what I wanted to show you. This lady, her name is Divine Goddess. Okay, so Divine Goddess, if we take a look at her, she has the dreadlocks, the head garment. That means, oh, to some people, maybe she's an oracle. So she has to know some type of knowledge, or she has to be knowledgeable of all things because she has the dreadlocks and she has the hair garment on. So she must be knowledgeable. So let's take a look to see what she's saying. Now, the title of this, okay, so this is Simon Ateba. I don't know if you guys, he's a journalist that he kind of got some steam after his name because he got into it with the White House press secretary. But I follow him because since he's from another country, he has a different perspective on things. So I tend to follow him, and he found this TikTok girl, I guess, and she is going to explain why it is true that this gunman is or has or had fantasies of being a neo-Nazi or a white supremacist. So let's take a look at this.
Yo, okay, who? Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadai Shakur. So, someone left me a comment about my last video, the one that identified Mauricio Garcia as the person that carried out the shooting in the Texas outlets on Saturday. Well, they said neo Nazi. He has a Hispanic last name, Chilling. People who look like me take out people who look like them every day in every town in America. Oh, so they went there? Okay, now we're going to get into it. Pay attention. First off, let's address the fact that he said this person has a Hispanic last name, and so he obviously doesn't think that they could be a white supremacist. I find that interesting because, first of all, they said he was a suspected white supremacist sympathizer. A sympathizer does not mean he was actually one. A sympathizer is a person who agrees with their ideology and supports them in their foolishness. Okay? But here's the thing, even if he were a white supremacist, that wouldn't be so strange. You see, because there are many people who look like him of his own lineage and ethnicity that, in fact, want to be down with white supremacy. Let's get into it. Now, some of them actually pass themselves off as being Caucasian when in fact they are not. But they want to be down because they think that those people are superior to everyone else. And so they'll try to blend in. I call it getting in where they fit in. But here's the thing, the leader of the Proud Boys, a whole white supremacist group by the name of Enrique Tarrio, okay, who's Afro Cuban, pay attention, he was leading a whole white supremacist group, and recently he was convicted of his role in the January 6th Capitol riot. Does he look like a Caucasian? No, he doesn't. Does he have a Caucasian last name? No, he doesn't. But yet he was leading a whole white supremacist group, and he wants to be and considers himself a white supremacist. You see, one thing about America, there are many people who pretend to be something that they are not. Not just America, all over the world. You see, there was Emma here, who's a social media influencer. Emma Hallberg, I think is her name. She likes to pretend that she's a person who looks like me, and she even gets monetized for doing so. So if she did something crazy, are we supposed to say, well, she doesn't look like that's what she'd do? Please pay attention. Then you have Associate Professor Jessica Krug, who also pretended to be someone who looks like me when she was absolutely Caucasian. Last but not least, let's not forget the infamous Rachel Dolezal, who did exactly the same thing. And as far as his comments about people who look like me taking out one another, well, homicide is a crime of proximity. So people tend to take out the people that they live around. And most people, no matter their race or ethnic group, tend to live around people who look like them, okay? And it's a fact that most people who are deleted by homicide, well, that usually happens by someone who looks like them. Even most serial killers take out people who look like them. Not all the time, but in most cases. Pay attention.
Okay, so some of the things that she put talked about, I do kind of agree with. Yeah, more likely you'll be killed by somebody that look like you. Yeah, it's probably from your same race or around in the neighborhood. I understand that. But she's trying to say that because Garcia is Mexican, that doesn't, just because he's Mexican, that doesn't mean he's a white supremacist. And she correlates the other guy that's the leader of the Proud Boys. I don't know his name, is that's a white supremacy group. But I don't think she really knows the Proud Boys and their ideology. They're not really white supremacy. They're like men supremacy. If you really get into it, if you really read up, about the Proud Boys. So I'm not for sure if she didn't really read up on the Proud Boys and what the media or the narrative of the media with the Proud Boys. They're not really a white supremacy group. They just believe um not they believe in a whole bunch of stuff, but not white supremacy. And some of them have denounced white supremacy. So that's why I don't think why she didn't bring it in. It's a bunch of nonsense to me. And she tried to correlate, just because somebody wants to look or have that same ethnic look like somebody else, they want to be a part of that group. But he didn't even look like he wanted to be a white supremacy. I mean, type in the chat if you agree with me. Like, even his looks, he had tattoos everywhere. One of the tattoos on his arm, they were saying that it was like a MSM tattoo, from, like the Mexican games. I guess that's the M616 group or whatever. But MSM, I forget what the acronym is, but it's similar to that Mexican game. So I really don't understand how she just like, oh, let me tell you this. And when some people, I love it when I hear a person that's a wordsmither, a person, and I'm not a wordsmither. I'm an engineer by trade. I like to look at numbers. If it's not in a chemical formula or mathematical formula, I tend to be like, oh, I don't understand. I have to read stuff a few times for me to understand it. And I like talking, but I'm not like a wordsmither like this young lady.
Hello,
this,
everyone. I'm Dr.
I mean,
Amadai Shakur.
she talks
So, someone
very
left me a
well and
comment
very
about my last
intelligently,
video,
but
the one that
you think
identified
it's
Mauricio.
intelligently. You think it's intelligently unless you unpack the words. So when I'm saying that, or this individual, like I said, could steer a lot of people in the wrong direction if you don't have common sense. You know, if I was born yesterday, or even if my child would listen to this, they will probably be like, "Oh yeah, that's right." They'll try to make that correlation, and I don't see the correlation. You know, she's stated all these facts. I really don't see the correlation. Like I said, put in the chat if you say, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't see it. Um, there are black men in the Proud Boys. Yes, you're right. This is from Magnafly. And what I've read about the Proud Boys, they're not really white supremacy group. They like um order of things. They really take law into their own hands. They think that they are here to assist the police and, you know, the military. Um, so I didn't get, she's calling the Proud Boys a white supremacy group, but I'm not for sure how she made that correlation. Like I said, I don't even think she actually looked into the Proud Boys and what their actual ideology is. And I pulled some of their information up and I read into it, and nothing in that information screams white supremacy. I would say man supremacy, if anything. You know, it's a bunch of guys that believe, like I said, they believe in the patriarchy system. They don't believe in a bunch of nonsense and chaos and people just doing whatever. Now, I best, if the Proud Boys was at this actual event of this tragic event in Allen, Texas, it probably wouldn't have got that far. You know, like I said, it wouldn't have got that far. I think they would have stopped that. So, and that's my, like, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm with the Proud Boys. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's my logic. I believe they believe in structure. They believe in the whole um patriotic system and the patriot. Men is on top, and they believe in the structure and order of things. They do have some anti-Semitic comments and stuff like that that they try to tie him to, but like I said, the whole white supremacy thing, that's not what they're talking about. They're a bunch of militants. Basically, they're a military group. Um, so word on the street, he can't speak English. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And that's MS-13. Joseph, I'll talk to you later about that. I'll hit me up DM across offline. Douglas D, she doesn't do her research. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think she did her research when she tried to say this whole thing is, she tried to make a correlation between the Proud Boys and the Latino, or she's called him Afro Latin American guy that's in the leader of the Proud Boys, and he does have a Latino name, and she tried to make a correlation, but the Proud Boys they're not white supremacy. I don't know where she got that from. And it's kind of weird that people are trying to say this guy is white supremacy. So let's get back to the Twitter again. There's some interesting stuff on this. And I wanted to oh yeah, this is Elijah Schaefer. I follow him, and I think he has a podcast, but I just follow him on Twitter. And he put on him, the MSM built their Allen, Texas white supremacy narrative from an urban dictionary. This idea, the shooter, Mauricio, I think that I pronounced that right. Garcia was the white supremacy, and who cares if I pronounced it right? He killed a bunch of people, right? Was a white supremacist, came from a patch on his jacket that says RWDS, which the Washington, I think this is the WAPO, I believe that's Washington Post, says means right wing death squad, taken from an obscure UD definition. Okay. This UD definition, they're talking about that they found it on basically Twitter. That's what it's like, a hashtag. And what Elijah is trying to say, that is just a false narrative. Maybe they're trying to put the this guy that was in part of this group, extreme group, or part of this gang group, put this white supremacy narratives to throw them off their tracks. Do you think, now this is a question for the audience, do you think the shooter at the mall had any correlation to the guy running over the illegal immigrants? I wanted to put that out there because the guy that ran over the illegal immigrants, he was Mexican too. And he had tattoos all over his body. So I don't know if it's linked to like cartel or anything like that, but I don't know. Put that in a chat. Do you think it's a correlation between what happened at that mall, Allen, Texas mall, to what happened on the side, one of the streets in Texas, where the guy ran over maybe a dozen people and 10 people end up, or 8, I think 7 people end up dying in that accident. And so if you see, like, if you guys are on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. It's under Shawan B. But if you see, this is neo-Nazi. This is what white supremacy looks like. And he doesn't fit the bill, It's, I don't even think they would actually accept him as a neo-Nazi, because he doesn't fit what white supremacy or neo-Nazism. They want you to, they believe in that pure blood. They don't believe in race mixing. They believe white supremacy, white is, and you're not supposed to mess with tainted bloodlines. They don't even like other, what we call white people, like Irish and Jewish and what we consider white in America. They don't mess with those type of people because they're not pure, what you call pure blood. So the news media wants you to believe, like I said, wants you to believe that neo-Nazi, this guy had ties to neo-Nazi. I pulled this up because I thought it was hilarious. Now, if you guys are fans of Dave Chappelle, remember Clayton Bigsby? He was blind, and he was part of the Ku Klux Klan, and he wrote that you are going to believe whatever they put on paper. Like whatever they put on paper, you're going to believe it and you won't question it, right? So this is Clayton Bigsby. Clayton Bigsby. He was a white supremacist. So we're going to play this video. So I don't know why it's just stopped off, but I crack up every time I see that. But this is what the media, they will have you to believe that white supremacy is the fabric of everything. Everything that bad happens, it has to do with white supremacy. And since this guy had a gun, it fits the narrative. We have to make the narrative fit, so you could believe, and I guess you're supposed to be an idiot. You could believe that this guy had any ideology of white supremacy, and him being a Mexican. He's a Mexican, but he wants to be a white supremacist. That's what the narrative that they're pushing. And it's so sad, they want you to believe this, and it's so sad that they don't think that you are smart enough to discern the difference between a bunch of bullshit and what is reality. Now I'm going to share with you guys what's on the Google feed, and we're going to read some of these headlines because it's crazy. It is crazy that they the headlines of this whole mass shooting all have neo-Nazi, white supremacy, blah blah blah. No individual news organization had said, oh, wait a minute, hold on, let's unpack this for a minute, because this doesn't make any sense. I haven't seen one. Now, if you find one, let me know, because I would like to read it. But I haven't seen one that said, or that have said, oh, this is not a motive of not being neo-Nazi and all that craziness. Okay. Can you guys see this? Let me. Oh yeah, you can see it. Hold on for just a second, you guys. Alexa, turn off. Alexa, turn off alarm. Alexa, cancel alarm. 11:34 a.m. alarm stopped on Fox. My kids always put random alarms on the Alexa, so it was going off. So now this is different because I didn't see this one. This one just came out. But the motive of the gunman so far remains a mystery. The shooting at Allen Premium Outlet Malls left 9 people dead, including the suspect. So the residents and authorities in Dallas suburbs on Sunday began to process the shooting as the Crowd Mall, in which the police says the gunman killed at least 8 people, including children injured, and 7 others before the police officer killed him. The shooting happened Saturday at the Outlet Mall, 25 miles north of Dallas, and turned a busy afternoon on shopping into chaos. So they're just saying what unfolded. Garcia may have espoused white supremacist ideology, according to 2 law enforcement officials. But it was not yet known if the shooting was an active act of domestic terrorism. So this report says may have espoused white supremacist ideology. Why would you espouse white supremacy ideology and you're not white? does that have something to do with the psyche of your mind, that you're kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? But why would a Mexican that's like literally true Mexican, if you see him, he wasn't trying to look white or anything. I'll pull his picture up. Why would a Mexican espouse white supremacy ideology? Why wouldn't it be Mexican supremacy ideology? Or why wouldn't you just say, I just hate white people or other people? And let me know, because it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. This is the guy. This is the guy face. Where is he at? Right here. This is him. Does it look like he's trying to be white? I don't think so. This picture is something different. I think that's from his mugshot, but they have another picture of him, and he had, the big earrings in his ear, like the diamond studs in his ear. This Ford News, as you can see this, it says Mauricio Garcia, 33, no felony charges, occupation security guard, ties to MAGA Proud Boys group. Now they're saying it's ties to MAGA Proud Boy group. And now it says neo-Nazi sympathizer, right-wing theft squad. This is what they want you to believe. But put the two and two together. Does it make sense? Does this really make sense? This is him. He straight up looked Mexican to me. And you can see he got the big earrings. Proud Boys wouldn't be doing that. Neo-Nazis, they wouldn't wear stuff like that. They wouldn't definitely have no tattoo on their neck. Where they get that from? This is the mug shot, I think, with the earrings. This is him, what he looks like now, or what he did look like since he's dead. So the Washington Post says the gunman Texas shooting Small may have neo-Nazi belief. Why would he have neo-Nazi belief, you guys? I make it make sense. I'm trying to tie the two together. Why is the media giving us this information? And to me, it's all lies. Why are they doing that? I don't understand. Why are they doing that? Ryan, one guy was interviewed and said that the truck hitting those people was done deliberately, and then CNN said it was an accident, that they hit the curb and lost control. It didn't look like no accident. Somebody took a picture, a video of that, and it didn't look like one. Joseph Young said these ends be lying. Pinocchio lying since they gave them themselves a title. White man when I'm looking at a red and pink punk. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. The only thing white is the mask he got on. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they try to blame everything on white supremacy, and you know it has everything. Yeah, you guys remember Tyree Nichols? He got killed by a bunch of black cops. They beat him down, kind of gang style beating. Tyree Nichols got beat down, and then a couple of days later, after it came, then they tried to tie that into white supremacy. They tried to say, because of these guys I guess, had it bad in life. I'm not for sure that it the underlying reason why the police officers beat this guy to death was because of white supremacy. But the police officers, all those guys that beat him up were black. But you had some people repeating that narrative. And to me, if we want to move forward as a culture, I don't know how many black people are listening to me. I probably lost all my black audience, really. If we want to move forward as a culture, if any black people are listening to me, Joseph, I know you down for the cause. If we want to move forward as a culture, as a people, I think we need to stop getting out of that, get out of the victim mentality mode and say, hey, and take ownership of what we're doing. Take ownership of our actions and start holding other people accountable. If it doesn't look good for our community, we need to expel them out of our community. Kick their asses out. It doesn't look good for our community. Same, even though this guy is Mexican, clearly, but same with this. We shouldn't just jump on the bandwagon saying, oh, yeah, this has something to do with white supremacy because the white man did this, the white man did that. I don't think you can move forward as an individual or as a community when you blame everything that happens bad on a white man. I just don't believe that. So anyway, we moving forward. Douglas D. Dallas is a blue district. Oh, I didn't know Dallas was blue. So Dallas is a blue, but that really explains it because there's a lot of transgender protests going on in Dallas. So I could see that. So Dallas is a blue district, but it must have just turned blue because when I was practicing engineering, we used to go down. I worked for a petroleum company. We used to go down to Dallas because that was one of their places where they have like meet and greets type of things and conventions and stuff. And it was pretty conservative then. So maybe just recently, probably because of California is a shithole. People are moving from California. I know they've been inundated with people in Texas. So Dallas is probably one of those homes that they settled into. So I could see that. So yeah, I could see that. Signor says CNN a lion. Imagine that. Yeah, right. CNN, if CNN, if you look up lie in the definition in the dictionary, CNN got their name, got their name, their logo right to lies, or fake news. Is fake news in the dictionary? It should be fake, lies, and all that good stuff. Dennis Pirtle. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'm black and I'm listening. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Fire to the people. So I Horton. Okay, so we got a few black people online, but a reason why I was saying that because since I let known my political beliefs out, people are, prior I used to just talk about business, but since I started talking about politics and really what I believe in, people kind of shy away from that. And most black folks, they vote Democrat. And to me, it's really ridiculous. So the media wants you to think the sky is purple, but it's really blue. It's raining shit, on us. And the borders don't need no protection. We don't need border patrol. They want to put all the money. If you watch my last video, they had this social justice border immigration thing that they're trying to protest with the federal government. They want you to believe that we don't have problems with the border. That there's no illegal criminals, contraband, no type of evil stuff that's going on at the border. They want you to believe that. But then we have the guy that's running over people, and we have this guy. I'm assuming he's a United States citizen. I'm assuming this Mauricio Garcia is a United States citizen, but they want you to believe that it has something to do with white supremacy, but the borders don't need to be patrolled. Okay. I wanted to get back to that news article, just to look. I'm just doing a spot check just to see if I'm wrong. What are they saying about this guy? What is the manifesto? What is the reason behind this? And this is CBS. What we know about the slain Texas Mall Massacre suspect Mauricio Garcia. Garcia, who had a tactical vest, was armed with a rifle and handgun. A senior law enforcement official says. Authorities says he was suspected neo-Nazi sympathizer. Why are they saying this? What is the purpose behind them saying this is a neo-Nazi sympathizer? It has to be an agenda behind this, because it doesn't make sense. And they're all saying the same thing, the acronym RWDS. And after we saw that RWDS actually came from Twitter, that's a hashtag that was started on Twitter. It's not actually something in the neo-Nazi or white supremacy handbook, something that they started on Twitter. So they want you to believe that this guy did everything in the name of white supremacy. Maybe that was the last call of action for him. They ordered him to just do this one thing and we'll accept you into the brotherhood. Let me know. Hey, you do this one thing, we'll accept you into the brotherhood. I guess. It's like, I just don't understand. Okay, so they have, this is old. I'm about to show this. Okay, let's listen to this right quick.
Taking place right now. A community is grieving and searching for answers. We've seen it again and again and again, but that doesn't make it any easier for folks in Allen, Texas, which takes its place on a list of nearly 200 mass shootings in the United States this year, and it's only May. We are on pace for the worst kind of record. Tonight, we'll look at what's going on in America that may be contributing to this surge. But first, we have new details about what took place yesterday when 8 people were killed at an outdoor shopping mall just outside Dallas. We have new reporting on the suspect who allegedly interacted with neo-Nazi and white supremacist content online. And we're learning more about what shoppers on a regular Saturday trip to the mall had to do to survive. We have multiple reports tonight, beginning with Priscilla Thompson.
Gunshots shattering the peace of a Saturday afternoon shopping trip.
We need an ambulance. Yeah, we can't get these people to the ambulance.
8 people were killed and 7 more injured, including children, police say, after a gunman opened fire at this sprawling outlet mall in Allen, Texas, just north of Dallas. The victims' identities not yet revealed.
Got one more whiter Hispanic male subject wearing a black tactical garb, armed with an AR. He's got some white lettering on the vest that says police or security.
Dash cam video shows the moment the alleged shooter got out of his car and began firing. The suspect was killed by an officer who police say was already on scene for an unrelated call.
He heard gunshots, went to the gunshots, engaged the suspect and neutralized the suspect.
Law enforcement officials say the shooter was 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia, who had interacted with neo-Nazi and white supremacist content online. Overnight, officials searching the home of the alleged shooter as neighbors watched in disbelief.
It's kind of quiet, kind of, wore a little hoodie, just walk up and down the block, did say to himself, just always alone.
He went to high school with some of the neighbors, and they just said he was just always very quiet.
This scene, one that is all too familiar. Americans in fear, forced to run, hide, and pray.
We ran to the back, barricaded it with some concrete bricks, and then right then on the security camera, thank God we went in the back at that time. We saw him walk right by, masked up, fake police outfit on.
Survivors returned to the scene today to collect their vehicles, many still in shock.
We heard all these shots started, and she had just been out there, and if she hadn't come in the store, she'd have probably
on the edge of the...
As another grief-stricken community gathers to mourn and to heal.
Priscilla, it's so upsetting. Any update on those 7 people who police say were injured?
Kate, 6 of those patients remain hospitalized, 3 in critical condition. As tonight, thousands are gathered in the church behind me, including Texas Governor Greg Abbott, praying that those victims will pull through. Kate.
Lester, we have breaking news about the death of a man on a New York City subway. Jordan Neely died this.
I'm not going to get into Jordan Neely. I made a special video about him. But anyway, so I wanted to pull this tweet, this text up. I think it was from a Twitch, Rye 87. Let me see your stream. Okay. Rye 87, you responded, those pesky Mexican white supremacists. Oh, wait a minute. He was a Mexican. He was Mexican. And then Rye 87, that depends on Chicanos of Spanish descent consider themselves white. In fact, in a lot of demographics surveys, Mexican Americans often identify as white. Are you Mexican? Is that how you know this information? I know in like Latin America, those darker skinned Latin Americans, I know they have some type of colorism. Are you speaking on that perspective, or because this guy, I think he's a Mexican American, since he's the lighter version? Is that's what your reference? Let me know in the chat. What are you? Okay, so it says no. I looked it up. Calls racists often to try to ethnic ambiguity to undermine white supremacy. I'm not for sure. I wouldn't call it ambiguity. I wouldn't use that term. But I kind of get you what you're saying, but to me, it doesn't make logical sense. You know, I tend to think black and white. Why would I sympathize with a group that wouldn't like me? You see what I'm saying? Why would I sympathize with a group that wouldn't like my parents? You know, and we probably could make an argument, well, if you grew up in the South, or if you have white parents that didn't like black people, or vice versa, we probably could make that argument, but I think this is like extreme, you know. And so Vampire Hunter, what an interesting name. Neo-Nazi do not allow anything but whites. And that's what I was getting at. Do they allow anybody besides white? You know, and that's why I said, why would you sympathize with somebody that wouldn't even accept you for who you are? You know, and it doesn't matter if you identify, oh, I'm the lighter version of a Mexican. It doesn't matter. You're a Mexican. You're not that pure blood that they're seeking. You're not a part of the like the brotherhood, that what they call it. So, and this is what the knowledge that I know about it. I'm not well versed on neo-Nazism and white supremacy. I tend not to spend my majority of my time on researching hate groups because it's, to me, it's not worth my time. But I do read about different stuff, and it's like I don't think he fits the bill, or what they're saying. It really doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm a more of a pragmatic person. If it doesn't make sense, it probably is not true. That's how we got to start viewing the world. It's, if it's not in black and white, it's not ambiguous. You know, most, if you think about logical common sense, if the puzzle doesn't fit, it's probably not true. You know, the more logical and easy way to get to something is probably one of the truest ways to get to the common sense, you know, or the answers. That's how I think. I always thought that way. It keeps me out of a lot of trouble. It helps me to discern how to deal with people. I mean, you should try it sometime. Just common sense. Okay, so Emerald, he's part of the group then rather claim all white. He's part of the group that rather claim all whites are racist and go along with that intention of dividing us by race rather than come together. Okay. And that might be true too. Okay, the shooter was a former soldier with mental issues. That's the most logical reason. This guy has, oh, I've been discharged from the army. Now I have no kind of cause of, you know, where my life is going. Everything's gone to shit. I'm a damn security guard. You know, forget this. F this world. I'm tired of this BS. I work at the mall for security, and I once was a soldier. That's the most logical reason to me. But it doesn't fit the narrative of what they're trying to paint. You know, it doesn't fit that narrative. Now, moving on, if we want to talk about narratives, I want to bring up that car incident, the guy that ran over a group of people and 7 people end up dying. 7 people end up losing their life to a truck. And all of these were immigrants that were outside of a shelter. This was supposed to be like a shelter for immigrants. I guess they trying to find them a place to live. So maybe they just came across the border. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that today. And our last story I want to talk about that nobody's really talking about. I really want to talk about this police officer that's in Chicago. So they actually arrested this guy. They actually arrested this guy, and some of this stuff, you know, when you go on Twitter, you'll see some graphic stuff, even with the shooter that was in Texas. People are actually posting up online of the people's just laying out in the street. You know, to me, it's disgusting. I think you got to have some type of remorse for the family or the victims. the victim's family? Why would you post that stuff on, Twitter? But anyway, you got people like seeing gory stuff. So I think, to me, it's not good for you to be looking at that kind of stuff. It's not good for your mind, but you have people looking at it. So I don't know why. Oh, there we go.
When a man... Several pedestrians were killed in South Texas on Sunday when a man driving an SUV mowed down people near a homeless shelter that attends to migrants. Police in the city of Brownsville said the driver is in custody, facing reckless driving charges and possible other charges. According to police, the victims in the morning crash were waiting at a bus stop near Ozanam Center, a shelter for the homeless used by migrants. And that migrants were among the dead. This man says he witnessed the crash.
We hope the hospitalized migrants will recover because they have families far away who count on them. We crossed mountains, marched, and got through the migration. It was a long way to come here, and we fought hard.
Police said a number of people were taken to hospital with a range of injuries. A New York Times report quoted Cameron County Judge Eddie Trevino as saying it was not clear if the driver intentionally crashed into the group or lost control of the vehicle. A Brownsville police lieutenant told Fox News investigators are trying to determine whether the driver was intoxicated. Brownsville lies on the border with Mexico, and the city is one of the places expecting an influx of migrants when COVID-era restrictions under Title 42 expire on Thursday.
Yeah, so they don't understand why he did this. Let me see if I can find the images of him, because they showed him and he was tattooed up too. He had a bunch of tattoos on his body, and he was a Mexican. I might be able to find it on Twitter. But yeah, he was a Mexican, and nobody's, here CNN reporting it. They actually showed the video.
At least 7 people are dead after a car plowed into a group of people outside a homeless shelter in Brownsville, Texas earlier this morning. That shelter has been housing migrants. First, we want to play you the moments leading up to the incident, and we should warn you, what you are about to watch is very disturbing. Now, we have frozen that video right before the most graphic moment of that footage. The video comes from Congressman Henry Cuellar's office, and I'll be speaking with him later on this evening. Let's go now to CNN's Rosa Flores. Rosa, what more do we know about what happened?
Well, according to police, 7 people are dead and at least 10 individuals are in the hospital. Now, police are still going to hospitals to see if there are any other individuals who are injured. Now, from talking to the director of the shelter, he says that about 8:30 this morning, there were about 20 to 25 migrants who were sitting on the curb across the street from his shelter waiting for a bus. That's what a lot of these migrants do. They were either going to downtown Brownsville or they were going to their destination in the United States. He says that his video surveillance camera captured the entire incident. This director describes a 2007 Range Rover vehicle driving at a very high rate of speed, running a red light, and then hitting the curb about 30 feet from where the migrants were sitting. He says that at that point in time, the vehicle completely lost control.
8 people are dead, 7 more wounded after a gunman opened fire into a crowd at an outlet mall in Allen, Texas. That's just north of Dallas.
Well, so yeah, they're saying that this guy maybe lost control, but other people are saying, I guess the bystanders are saying, no, this is intentional. Okay, I found this picture. They have him sitting down. He might have been drunk though. I have his picture. It's not a clear picture though. He's sitting on the curb. He's sitting on the curb. Let me show the thread. And whoever took the picture, I don't understand. Why can't we get clearer pictures? This is like nobody has smartphones. Like, what kind of pictures are these? Or is this from a video, like a screenshot from a video? So that's the guy, and he's a Mexican. So they said most people are from Venezuela. This Brian Henderson, domestic terrorism. And then another thing, when do we classify some domestic terrorism? If they kill a certain group of people, is that considered terrorism? It has to be over a certain amount of people. I'm kind of unclear because we have all these new terms now, and I'm kind of unclear of what are we saying here. Now we got car ran over, Venezuela's waiting at a bus stop in front of homeless shelter. You know, you remember how we're staying with Iran, or was that the tweet? We stand now. Everybody gonna have they profile with this. Like we are a bunch of, and I'm not saying we because I don't do the shit. I don't follow. And this is probably why I'm not as successful. Like I'm not super rich, because you can't just tell me to do anything and I'm gonna do it. I always go against the grain because this doesn't make sense. I don't know if you like me, but I always go against the grain. So now we're going to have a bunch of people in their profile. This is going to be the picture. We stand with Venezuelans. Are we going to feel, is this a plot for us to say, oh, we must feel sorry for the people that's at the border. They're getting attacked over in Venezuela and they're getting attacked here. We should just let them in. Let me know. Is this something or a propaganda that they should be pushing, or that they're pushing? Oh, the immigrants are being attacked here too. We should just let them in. We don't need border security. We don't need border security. We should just trust them. They've already been through a rough time in Venezuela. We should try to give them an opportunity here. And I'm not against people getting their opportunities, but what's the end goal here? What's the agenda? It has to be an end goal. Let's see, who was that from? Majahal the Martin. NAFO, I don't know what this is. 8 more migrants killed in Texas, hit and run attack. So they're standing up with migrants. And migrants, we no longer call them immigrants. They're migrants. They migrated over from one place to another, but immigrants, that means they came from a different country. Migrants, I said migrant, hey, you came from California you migrated from California to Michigan. It doesn't make sense to me. I think we're living in a backwards society and la cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs society. Because some of this, like I said, if you tuned in at the beginning of the show, I'm not a wordsmith. So if it's too too much language in there. You lost me. You lost me. Yeah, you tried to language me to death. You lost me. It went over my head. I do not comprehend. I'm more black and white, very pragmatic. Just speak what you're saying. Don't try to talk in codes or anything like that. This is not an English class. Don't try to make up new words. Just say what you mean. So migrants, we're using migrants for immigrants now. That's a new word. I didn't know. I was wondering why they kept on using migrants, but literally that doesn't mean what they're doing. They're coming from a different country. So yeah, so we got this guy, he's a Mexican. The other guy that was shooting up, Mexican. They didn't tie the Mexican guy. Well, he's still alive, so they could question him. He's still alive, so they could question him. So we would know what was his agenda behind him trying to run over all these people. Okay. I'm just scrolling through to see if I want to show you guys anything else. I mean, they haven't really talked about this guy much. So it's really not much out here for him. And look, they got a manifesto and all this stuff from the guy that's dead. They killed the guy that was killing people in Texas. Now, like I said, I'm black and white. Make it make sense. Put it together. You guys hone it in for me. Make it make sense to me. They got a manifesto, well, not a manifesto, but an ideology with the guy that's dead. Ideology, they know, he's a sympathizer with neo-Nazi and white supremacy. They knew that he was discharged from the military. They knew all this, and the guy is dead. They even know that how old the guy was, right? Where he worked at. But this guy that's still alive, they run over 7 people. You can't tell us anything about him. He's still alive and talking. Make it make sense to me. We know everything about the dead guy, but nothing about the alive guy. Make it make sense. I don't care for anyone's migrant views. You don't run over here because you feel over people because you feel like there's too many migrants. Yeah, it's crazy. You don't run over there. The end goal is to completely destroy the company or country and deplete all of our resources so they could push their socialist agenda. That's true. So I just don't understand how we know so much about this other guy and we don't know nothing about the live guy. I just don't understand that. To me, it doesn't make any sense. So moving forward, you guys let me know if it makes sense to you. I want to move forward because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on some propaganda news that they're not going to tell us the truth about anything. They're not going to give us the truth because they don't want you to have the truth. They want this world. Who said that? Ryan said it. They want it to be depletive of all our resources so they could push their socialist agenda. So first they got to make it chaotic. They got to make people fight amongst themselves. So you got to create chaos. Then the government will step in. Oh, I have a fix. One world order or whatever. And, do what they want to push their agenda or to complete their agenda. So, Chicago. So this last topic I want to talk about is her name is Ariana. Ariana. Yeah, Ariana. I would say Ariana Preston. It didn't get much.
When you have auto glass damage, trust Safelite. We'll replace your windshield and recalibrate your advanced safety system so automatic emergency braking and lane departure warning work properly.
Safelite repair. They didn't talk much about it. It was they had a little snippet about this young lady, but this is a Chicago police officer that was off duty, and it was believed that she was coming home. She just got off her shift and she was coming home, and they don't know if they was trying to rob her or it was just a targeted thing. But she ended up dying. Young lady, only 25 years old, she ended up dying right in front of her house. To me, it's just so sad. And when I say they don't talk enough about things that's really impactful, that really affect us, this is one of the things that's really impactful, because not only that she signed up for a job that nobody really wants, and then to lose her life, not even on duty. She lost her life off duty, and she was so young. So we're going to let this news report talk about it.
Tanya and Terrell sources tell the I-Team those 4 people have not yet been charged, and some or all are said to be juveniles. Late last night, our cameras captured the Chicago Police Department SWAT team surrounding a home near 76th and Bishop. Sources telling us this morning this is in connection to the shooting death of CPD officer Ariana Preston. CPD detectives had some cooperation from potential witnesses to the encounter with Officer Preston. Police sources have told the ABC7 I-Team the witnesses helped direct investigators to 2 men and 2 women who they now have arrested following a lengthy SWAT standoff. 24-year-old Preston, a 3-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department, was shot and killed in her front lawn as she came home from work early Saturday morning. She died from multiple gunshot wounds. The circumstances around her shooting death still being investigated at this hour. The young officer was set to graduate with her master's degree from Loyola University this coming weekend. A vigil for Officer Preston is planned for tomorrow here outside the 5th District Police Station.
Did you guys hear that? This young lady lost her life to some teenagers, suspected, allegedly. 4 people are in custody in connection with the fatal shooting in Chicago police officer Ariana Preston. Sources tell the I-Team. Detectives had corroboration from potential witnesses, which led them to 2 male and 2 female suspects who were taken into custody after SWAT standoff Sunday night. Cameras captured the SWAT team respond in the area block of 7600 block of South Bishop Street. The suspects have not been charged, and some or all are said to be juveniles. I just spoke about juveniles just running rampant. In Chicago, we got PG County. YouTube took my video down about this guy fighting in the school, beating up girls. They took that video down, saying it incited hate. It was hate speech. the guy ended up being, well, he happens to be transgender. But anyway, our young people are lost. And when you have a person that's so young in their teens saying, hey, I need to take somebody else's life, you need to throw that whole kid away. They need to be locked up. They shouldn't even be out in public. They shouldn't. Walking around, 2 males and 2 females. So not only is affecting men or young men, females are just as ratchet as the men or the little boys. And what is the DA going to say about? I'm going to follow this story because I'm going to let you guys know what the DA says about this. Are they going to let these kids go? Because apparently there was another kid that stole the car. This is about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Stole a car, ran a traffic light, hit another car, and killed the 6-month-old baby. And they were juvenile. And they got off with misdemeanors, like reckless driving or something like that. And not even stealing a car. All misdemeanors. So they're out walking around, causing harm to other people again, because they let them off the hook. It says, we don't know the circumstances, but we do know that we lost one, community activist Andrew Holmes said. Chicago don't sleep, and someone either drove past, someone seen something. Maybe they're scared to say something. Community activist Michael Earhart said. The circumstances around the shooting death are being investigated. Community activist Jamal Green is offering $5,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest. So Preston was supposed to graduate with a Master of Jurisprudence from Loyola School of Law this coming Saturday. They're not marching for this. Number one, for some reason, people don't like cops anymore. I guess cops are the bad guys. You know, sometimes I never had a bad interaction with a cop, like horrible, nothing newsworthy. I have gotten smart with the cop before. I know I have a sister, she had a bad interaction with the cop. My brother, if you follow me, my brother got killed by an off-duty cop. And then my husband, he got beat up by a cop. They broke his jaw when he was in his early 20s. They broke his jaw. And so he got beat up by the cop. But all these interactions, bad things or bad stories that I've had, personally with me, like I said, I never had a bad interaction, probably a tit for tat type of interaction with the cop, but never, something harmful to me or something I feel like, oh, this is not right. And it's never happened to me. Well, I do have one story, but I don't think they were cops. And if they were, it was, I use my better judgment. But anyway, what I'm getting at is we don't like cops anymore because cops are bad for some reason. And all the things that I know about cops and all the bad interactions that other people had experienced with the cops, not necessarily me, I could say, oh, I don't like cops either. I could say, oh, they're a bunch of, assholes. But I don't. I tell my kids, like when George Floyd got killed and they kind of got scared about cops, I'm like, no, most cops are good. You run into some assholes, but for some reason, I don't know why we don't respect authority figures. I was raised up to respect authority figures. Now cops are they on the beat all day and they put their lives in danger. They get smart with you. You could diffuse the situation. To me, you can, because I've done it before. They get smart with you. You don't need to get smart back, you know, or you don't need to be afraid of them. Like I said, I've always thought that if a person is risking their lives on a daily basis and they pull you over and they start getting smart with you, are you going to put fire on the situation or are you going to diffuse it? So anyway, I'm saying this to say people don't like cops. You're not going to see March to Justice for this Preston lady. You're not going to see it because people don't like cops. They think they're bad. Every cop is evil. And to me, that's just a way to disaster. You see all these other cities like New York, Chicago, California. These protesters, they think they have the right to touch an officer or sling name call an officer. Back in the day when you did that kind of stuff, you got arrested. You're not just going to verbally assault an officer and think that was okay. No. But today in this society, it's okay. But as soon as your purse gets snatched or robbed or somebody break into your house, as soon as that happens, you'll pick up your phone and dial 911 and you expect the police officer to come to your aid. We need to stop it, people. We need to stop it. Anyway, I'm going to pray for her family. She's a very young lady to just lost her life. Probably for no reason. Kids, hey, I see something that I want, or hey, she's a female. Let's set her up. She lost her life literally for nothing. Going home. So anyway, gets to some of your comments. Blackfoot man, it says, that's sad, man. Chicago seems like it's basically has become a war zone, and it has. To me, it has. Career criminals should probably be locked up, especially if they have the extensive criminal record. Yeah. You know, and some of these young kids, they're so young, you know, they know how to move through the crowds. You can't really catch them. Oh, it was a kid. What kind of, you know, what did they look like? You know, because if they're a kid, they probably still going through puberty. Just how much changes, they probably would never get caught. You know, the physical changes that they go through. You know, so they probably, if somebody actually saw them, they probably, you know, would describe them, and then they won't look the same. Like, was that the kid? No, he was about 5 inches smaller, you know? So it's really sad. Another thing I want to point out, I don't know if you guys know King Von. He's dead now, but he was a serial killer, a young guy, serial killer, Southside Chicago. I had to tell my kids, don't play his music. He was a rapper too, but he was known to have 16 or 17 murders attached to him. And the girl that he ran with, she was a serial killer too, but they were all young. They were like 17. I think King Von ended up dying. I don't know how old he was, but the girl he used to rap about that he was so in love with, they said he killed her. And she was like 16, 17. So, and these are kids in Chicago. You know, if you're not there to raise your kid, the street's gonna raise them. They're gonna find some guy to bring them up and teach him how to kill people for his cause. So, and that's the world we living in. So, you guys, we had a troubling weekend this weekend. Just stay prayed up, you know. Keep your eyes open. Use common sense. And thank you for tuning in. I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.